Welcome students. This session is for MA final year English Literature paper 8A. The students who have opted for new literatures in English. In my previous session, I have talked about Australian literature, and you are also introduced to the life, works and the style of writing of this famous author A.D. Hope. So in this session, we are going to do his famous poem Australia, which is there in your syllabus. So let's start with the poem. Before coming to the text of the poem, let me introduce to you the issues that you are going to see in this poem of A.D. Hope. In this poem, he gives expression to the Australian reality and questions the idea that Australia is civilized. So unlike other authors who write quite patriotically about their country and who praise the landscape and the people and each and everything about their homeland, this poem talks about Australian reality, and you can see that how A.D. Hope is questioning this idea if Australia is really a civilized country. He says that Australia is a mechanical and monotonous land. So there are a lot of negative images which he gives in this poem. He says that this country appears to be quite mechanical and monotonous. The poem gives a kind of negative perception regarding Australian culture. So he also talks about that how this place lacks history, it does not have any culture of its own. So the poetry reflects, and because of this, Hope has been criticized also in his times, that he is writing quite negatively about his own country. The poem reflects the lack of individualism and spiritual poverty. So here he also generalizes the people of Australia, and he talks about that how barren they are spiritually. It is the continent with an ambiguous state. A.D. Hope finds nothing to feel proud about the country to sing in her praise. So we see that how he's talking about this country, this continent, in a very ambiguous manner, and he is not feeling proud of this country about which he is writing this poem. So we see that in most of the lines, he is not praising this place. The depressing state of his country only moves him to mourn about the pathetic condition. He presents in the first few stanzas, he presents quite a negative and pathetic condition of Australia, though in the end we do find some note of optimism, some praise that he has in his mind for his own country. But most of the poem, we see that he talks about pathetic condition of this country. He prays for the change from the desolate and purposeless nature of the lifestyle of people. And in the end, we see him praying that some profit may rise from this desert, some purposefulness should come in this purposeless nature and the lifestyle of people. So in the end, he does have some sort of faith that something good is going to come out of this whole wasteland. So this poem basically is based on his negative perception, or rather you can say that he is talking about the reality of Australian land, Australian culture, and Australia as a country. Let's have a look at the text of the poem. Hope writes, "A nation of trees, drab green and desolate grey, in the field uniform of modern war darkens her hills, those endless outstretched paws of sphinx, demolished or stone lion worn away." So right from the first stanza, we see the image that poet gives of his own country. When usually poets write about nature, they give a very charming and beautiful images, but Hope, right in the beginning, gives a very dull and desolate image of Australia, where he calls this place as drab green and desolate grey. And just as the uniform of modern war, it is grey and green in color, which gets mixed up with the background of the place, and overall gives a very dull image, a very desolate image. So this appearance he gives to the country right from the beginning. And then he says that in this dull place where nobody gives importance to any outer appearance, neither they care about the inner beauty of this place, he gives reference to a sphinx. Sphinx, as we know, is a figure from Egyptian myths where it possessed the body of a lion and the head of a man, a ram, or a hawk. Now, this sphinx was always considered as a creature with a lot of wisdom, and this appearance of Australia is directly compared to that of sphinx because author considers that once Australia was a realm of intelligence and power, which compared to the sphinx, because sphinx is also is an image of intelligence which used to ask riddles from the people, and somewhere poet feels that Australia used to be better place than which is now at present, and the past reputation of this country is gone. So now it is not a place of so much of intelligence and so much of wisdom as compared to the past. Let's analyze this first stanza. The poet describes Australia as being a nation of trees, drab green and desolate grey. So these are the lines from the poem that darkens her hills. So he sees Australia as a country that is bleak and almost colorless and dull. So we see that how a poet uses images and colors right from the beginning. The mood of the poem, the tone, the color of the poem is set, and readers and you as students, you feel that the mood of the poet is quite negative towards his country. This very much resembles the field uniform of modern wars, where everything is in shade of grey and green. So he compares this image, the nature, to the image of uniform of modern wars, which is grey and green and which looks quite dull in the background. The poet likens the country to a sphinx. The sphinx was a figure from Egyptian myths which possessed the body of a lion and head of a man. This comparison is directly related to the author's vision of Australia that we have talked about, that somewhere he feels that the past reputation of this country of being as a place of wisdom and intelligence is now gone, and at present Australia is now a dull place. Now let's have a look at the second stanza of the poem. Pope writes that they call her a young country, but they lie. She is the last of lands, the emptiest, a woman beyond her change of life, a breast still tender, but within the womb is dry. So just like in first stanza, poet continues with a lot of negative and residual images of Australia, where he says that people may call Australia a young country, but they lie, because for him, for Hope, it is the last of lands, the emptiest. It has a history of aborigines. So this is not a young country. People lie that it's a young country. Then he gives an image of a woman beyond her change of life, a breast still tender, but within the womb is dry. So these series of lines, they convey a meaning that Australia may be considered a young country in the eyes of people or by the world standard, yet it's most empty. He gives a very superficial image of this place where he compares Australia to a woman who is fresh and alert, but from inside it has nothing, it is quite empty. Again, this is a very disparaging image of Australia, having just an external beauty but no inner one. So he gives this, that the breast is tender but the womb is dry, shows the feeling that Australia might look beautiful from outside, but from inside there is no inner beauty. So this is again a very sad and negative image what poet is giving to this country. Now let's analyze the stanzas that we have done up till now. Hope in this poem suggests that Australia's realm of intelligence and power have now been worn away. So Hope does believe that once upon a time Australia had that realm of intelligence and power, and it was considered the place of wise. But now those days are gone, that time has now worn away. And this suggests that Australia used to be better than it is now. So it was a better place in the past in comparison to what it is now. He believes that Australia is a country that is old. People may call Australia a young country, but they lie. He knows that Australia is an old country. It is the last of land, and he knows that it has its history, and there are people who are aboriginals of this place. And he says that people consider this country as a young country, but they lie. They are not speaking truth about it. For him, Australia is last of lands, the emptiest. A woman beyond her change of life, a breast still tender, but within the womb is dry. So this image that he gives of Australia, of a woman, he says that Australia may be considered as young by world standards, but it's empty within. It has only external beauty, but no inner beauty. Again, this image of a woman with a tender breast but dry womb reflects that Australia has external beauty, but it does not have inner beauty. It's again one more negative image that a poet gives about his own country, or you can say that he's talking about the reality of the place in his own way. Let's finish this session now, and we are going to continue with this poem in my next session.